I'm here at Gleneagles Hotel in Scotland, scene of the G8 summit a couple of years ago. I've come to talk to Peter Lederer, who's the managing director of Gleneagles, and he's been here since 1987. Peter is also the chairman of Visit Scotland since the last 7 years. Peter knows a lot about sustainability in Scotland, and we'd like to talk to him to find out exactly what Gleneagles is doing and what Scotland's aspirations are in the sustainability arena. Visit Scotland, I understand, has a complete commitment to sustainability. Now, I can understand an establishment such as yours being sustainable. What about all of the other tourism businesses in Scotland? What's your feeling about that?
Well, I think they're critical. I mean, most of, I'm unusual in being a big business like this in Scotland. Most of the 20,000 odd tourism businesses are very small and almost one-two-man businesses. And it's critical that they are actually leading in this area. A place like Gleneagles has an expectation we would do it, wouldn't we? But it's even more important for small businesses to be involved because, again, from what I said earlier, both the customers expecting it, I think the more and more staff, young people who are in the business are expecting it because that's how people are living their own lives. And I think we're naive if we think that that people don't bring their feelings at home into the workplace and bringing how they're working, how they're living their lives at home into where they just choose to spend their tourism money when they're visiting a location like Scotland. So it's very important that Scotland is consistent across the piece. That whether you're in the Western Isles or down in the south or in the northeast, that you're going to businesses that all take Scotland's positioning, its brand, its position as a green, friendly, warm welcome, but in most important takes the environment in its broadest sense and sustainability in its broadest sense, economic, social and economic, climate change. All of those are taken into account.
So how do you feel about Scotland promoting itself as a green destination?
I'm slightly wary of that, and I personally I don't think that is something I would go. You don't see, we're not out there with advertising campaigns saying that. I think the customer can say that of you. I don't think it's something necessarily you want to say of yourself. We at Gleneagles does not go out there and says we're a green, friendly, environmentally friendly. If somebody asks the question, we can answer the questions, but we don't go out there and say it. And I don't think Scotland should be out there saying it either. I think we are very fortunate in Europe that actually Scotland is right up there as a place that is perceived as environmentally friendly, clean, green. My slight concern is if we don't live up to that reputation. Because if that's our reputation, as I said, we don't live up to it, that's very dangerous. So my concentration is making sure that we are actually delivering on our perception as opposed to going out there up front saying that this is a marketing imperative.
One of the other things I wanted to ask you about is the marketplace in general. Obviously, the incoming market is changing dramatically. How do you see this in the next year or two?
Oh, it's changing dramatically. I mean, if you look at, for example, our business here, US business has dropped dramatically, replaced by more Russian, more European business in the same. So overall, the numbers look similar, but a growing European business, growing Russian business, starting to see the first shoots of Indian business, for example. So those new markets are starting to emerge. But we must never forget, both in Scotland, where almost 90% of our business is UK, is domestic, and in our case here, over 75% of our business is UK. We are very fortunate, and this plays well to our possibilities around what's going on in the world today, is that we in the UK have a very strong, one of the strongest domestic market, which is very loyal to the country. So I think it'll be interesting to see as the changing dynamic now, will the UK market fly less, travel less long distance, or even will we be able to sustain? I mean, personally, I can't. I mean, I'm not doing short breaks to Prague or Paris or these anymore. I just don't think that's reasonable. I might do one long trip a year as a special treat, but these short weekends away, I don't feel comfortable around. So will that shift change? Now, of course, that has an impact. Scotland come the other way as well with short breaks, because our market is short breaks. But I think we've got to start thinking around, well, how will that market change, and how does Scotland, Visit Scotland, Gleneagles get ahead of that?
Do you see that you're going to be getting more domestic and regional customers and less long-haul customers?
I would say certainly in the short to medium term, it's going to be more regional and domestic. Domestic is strong. I think it'll remain strong and possibly get stronger. I think regional will be there. I think I'm starting to get concerned. For example, Scottish government's done a very good job over the last 5 years. We've got over 120 more direct routes into Scotland now than we had 5 or 6 years ago. Good news. Bad news, of course, they go away as fast as they arrive. And if they're not being used or the airlines are in trouble, as they are now, I mean, which of the airlines will survive and which ones won't is a big issue for me personally at the moment. And if you start to look at those airlines, what's going on financially with the airlines, and therefore what could happen to the routes, places like Scotland, we may have a problem. So we've got to be thinking about that and getting ahead of that and saying, how do we then work with other markets or work, as you say, closer with our domestic and regional market to build our business?
Visit Scotland has got an ambitious target of achieving another 50% revenue from tourism by the year 2015. How do you see this being achieved sustainably?
This is very important to me personally and to Visit Scotland and to the industry, because I think Scotland does have a huge opportunity around tourism. It's one of the industries that has great potential going forward. It's also an industry you can't pick up and take to Poland. I can't take this hotel to Poland because it's cheaper there to operate. It's here. So if we're going to meet, and I think we can meet our 50% growth ambition, or if we're going to be that ambitious, how do we do that in a sustainable way is key. And I think the 50% is important to say that's not about 50% more numbers, that's about people spending more, that's about people staying longer, it's about people coming at times of the year when they otherwise wouldn't have thought of. So I think if you look at it in those ways, and it's some small things, and this is where the industry is starting to get to grips with it. Because, for example, if every visitor to Scotland spent another £9, doesn't sound like that, another £9 a day, would be almost £500 million on top of the 4.2 billion that already comes into Scotland. That's a huge number just for one small push of additional spend. But you've got to create good products and good services to get people to spend that money. And I think it's interesting in the feedback we get. People are quite happy to spend the money as long as it's on quality products and quality services. And quality doesn't mean 5-star. Quality means spotlessly clean, warm welcome everywhere you go, professional people, and value for money. And I think if we can do that, then you can get to that 50% target, but do it in a very sustainable, again, socially sustainable, economically sustainable, as well as environmentally sustainable.
Finally, I'd like to ask, you've been involved with Visit Scotland for a long time now. What are your aspirations for Scotland as a destination?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very proud of Visit Scotland. It's an organisation that's gone from, in 2001, for example, foot and mouth, mad cow, 9/11, all at once, and it broke the organisation. So we had to reinvent this organisation, Visit Scotland, and the team have done a fantastic job building that organisation, and have gone through 2 major reorganisations, self-prompted, not pushed by anybody. So they've moved the agenda forward, as has the industry. The industry, I don't recognise the industry now from 25 years ago, even from 10 years ago. It's moved on dramatically. So my ambition around Scotland is to continue doing what it's doing in terms of driving up quality, driving up the reputation around environmentally friendly, socially responsible, that whole area of sustainability, and being a lead in that area, while providing quality experiences and that escape that people look for. Because I think the market is going to be very strong, but I do think the customer will be a lot more discerning, and we're going to have to raise our game for that.